Hi, this is Matt with Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 44. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found at intergalacticherald.com and look for news recap number 93. So just a quick summary of topics we'll go over, a little update on my second attempt at using Sage Labs version 2 and Sage 3D. Also to be discussing an interview with Chris, director or head of economics for Star Atlas. Also, Beyond the Horizon released a documentary video, so I'll go over that. The new Showroom 2.1.9 was released, so I'll have some thoughts on that. And then just a small thing on the new craze within the Star Atlas community, which is the Puri coin. So before I get into that, just a couple updates on my thing. So again, if you are interested in getting all the Star Atlas content creators videos and articles, please do go to intergalacticherald.com and subscribe to my weekly Star Atlas news recap email newsletter. Put out that once a week on Sunday night Pacific time. And then just a couple updates on some Star Atlas projects I'm working on. The first is my merch store. So if you go to intergalacticgear.com, there's a merch survey. You can fill that out. Please do. I'm looking for information, what people would be interested in buying. And then the second one is my project called Intergalactic Coalition. This is what I'm calling a non-guild guild. So it's basically a community for Star Atlas gamers who are maybe not interested in joining a guild, but yet want to hang out with some other Star Atlas gamers. Don't find the official Star Atlas Discord the best place to have some chats and comments on there. So I'm putting together, it's actually a paid community, partly to offset the cost for the community software so that we can have things like threaded discussions, email notifications, and things like that. Anyways, please check that out at Intergalactic Coalition if you'd be interested in maybe joining. So let's get into the bulk of the content. As I'm recording this, it's New Year's Eve. So officially the Star Atlas team has been on break for 1 week and they'll be going on another week. But since I kind of let everything queue up from the previous week, a lot of this was things that came out either late the week before or a few things that came out after Christmas this week. So the first was just on a personal note. I did attempt to try the Sage Labs V2. This was the one that had the kind of dynamic map of where everyone is at. It actually loaded, so I think some of the bugs were fixed before the team went on break. Did seem a little slower to me, but again, I've been hearing rumblings that there's a lot of Solana transaction delays or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. Part of it, though, was also definitely it's a different interface, so it took a little while to get into it. And I admit I only did it for a few minutes because, again, I'm not really playing Sage, not doing the mining crafting right now. Partly, one, as I mentioned in the past, don't have the time, and two, it's just not engaging me. I also did was able to get to working the Sage 3D, but, I guess I did. I take that back. I did get the ship because I had the ship, or the fleet, in Sage Labs 2, I undocked it, and then in Sage 3D, I was able to zoom in and see that ship. But as far as I took it, again, I didn't have a ton of time. I was just more curious if some of the bugs the team had announced they had worked on before going on break were there. So still hope to spend a little more time in there just, again, to kind of see it. But I admit as my winter break is halfway over and I got to get back to work at some point or middle of next week, I may not get to it. So I think it was on Friday, Chris, the head of economics, was interviewed on the Hologram News Network, partly to provide some more context and information about the changes that occurred. So mainly that the amount of Atlas you could claim if you kept your ships in score had been reduced by 33%. And then some of the other changes in the, I guess we'll just call it the Sage economy, because there's actually 3 ways to play Sage, but again, they're all based on the same gameplay mechanics and things like that. It's just basically different interfaces. So it's a great listen. I think it was an hour. So again, if you're interested in the whole thing, please do check that out. Again, intergalacticherald.com. Look for news recap 93 to find the link to that. But a couple things I did find kind of interesting that came out of it. One was Chris's comment that there are some players that are basically doing arbitrage. So I had heard of this word before in one of my entrepreneur side hustle, side business type of things. And it's basically a concept where you, usually buy something at one price and then change the market where you're selling it and somebody's willing to pay a higher price. In my example, this was actually a retail arbitrage where you could go and buy discounted merchandise at stores like Target and Walmart and then actually actually place those things on Amazon, ship it to Amazon's warehouses, and then you could actually charge a higher price. And because the clearance sale at Target had nothing to do with whether or not the product had a value, we were able to do that. Actually did a few of them, didn't make a ton of money, but it was an intriguing idea. So anyways, what I think Chris was alluding to in his interview was that people are doing this in the Star Atlas marketplace. They can go out and either buy or mine and craft and sell, but some people can just basically buy an object on the marketplace, do something to it, and then sell it back at a different rate. So again, it was kind of interesting that the economic team within Star Atlas is aware of this as a actual play style, and I think that was what was kind of interesting. I mean, I guess I've heard a few content creators mention it, but I had never really thought of it as like, oh, well, yeah, this is a play style. And I think this was in relationship to the new, I can't remember what it's called, but there's some new object that they created that you can craft and then go to the marketplace and exchange for Atlas. So I guess there's, again, part of the arbitrage. The next thing I found interesting in his interview was that, and maybe this is in the original white paper, it was just, I read it 2 years ago, and again, whatever it said hasn't really, it seems to me, affected the actual development of the game. Now, again, I could be wrong. Just haven't read it in 2 years. But he did mention the Atlas admission curve, which I'm assuming was in the economic white paper, is finite. And I guess that's obvious in retrospect, and obviously someone like himself would be very up on this. But that at some point the team, I assume the team, because that's where Atlas is coming from, or again, part of the tokenomics. Again, I'm sorry, I just don't remember 2 years ago what all this stuff. But the key point was that the amount of Atlas that would be emission? I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. Is finite. So it's not like it'll go on forever. So at some point, all the Atlas that will ever exist will exist. So we're still in the point where Atlas tokens are being created. Again, it was just nice to be reminded of some of those base foundational things that Star Atlas put out way back in the day. And even though I've been, putting my ships in score, getting my Atlas, I had never really contemplated, well, where is that Atlas? So it's, again, part of the original intent to give out how much Atlas, but again, it's finite. So that was just good to be refreshed. And then the third and last thing that I kind of took away from the interview was that the golden tickets, which again, we've had the 8 raffles, are going to do nothing in the future. So there was a Star Atlas team member who basically said golden tickets are worthless going forward. So good to get it on the record that they won't have any other purpose. But I think what Chris said was actually good to us, like, well, to have them have a purpose after the raffle doesn't make any sense. They were for the raffle. The raffle's older, the golden tickets end. And again, whatever this new object that they're putting in the marketplace to get Atlas, he alluded to, that too will end when the next phase. So again, I thought that was actually good, that these things don't just kind of morph and change. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with creating something that then doesn't have a purpose later on. I mean, it was what it was. It was a drawing to enter a raffle. It would be weird if a golden ticket did something else in the future. So anyways, but again, it was still pretty cool. So in the past week, Beyond the Horizon, one of the content creators on YouTube, published what he called his documentary. And actually it was, I think, really cool, and I would highly recommend going and check it out because it was both very well constructed as far as video. It really was talking about the concept of the metaverse and both on-chain and off-chain metaverses. So he was doing it, just as a quick side, just amazed because the content, I mean, he was pulling clips from video games and movies and again, it was just very, very high production value. I can't imagine the amount of time and effort to put that together, and the arguments and the discussions were excellent too. So again, just high praise for that video. But one of the things he did mention as, again, kind of, we're talking about metaverse, and I've use this reference myself when having conversations is if you've either read the book Ready Player One or watched the movie. I think a lot of people use that as a reference to what we now are thinking of as a metaverse to actually look to as something. So again, I can't summarize the whole book. If you watch the movie, you'll get obviously a visual sense, though I guess I'm a purist. I enjoyed the book more, partly because there was more detail than the movie. But anyways, that's the classic, which is better, the book or the movie. But anyways, so it was a great documentary about the metaverse. Again, he did talk about different on-chain and off-chain ones. Most of the on-chain ones were focused on Star Atlas. Perfect sense. He's a Star Atlas content creator. That's who his audience is, so it was great. So I thought just a couple of my thoughts about some of the things he was mentioning, how maybe, down the road Nike or Amazon or something would actually join the Star Atlas metaverse. And when I first kind of thought about this metaverse concept, and again, even prior to my involvement in Star Atlas, which was 2 years ago when crypto was going and Facebook changed their name to Meta, and there was all this talk, and this is again pre-Apple goggles, whatever we're calling them, whatever, Vision Pro, whatever. There were lots of people talking about this, and there's been lots of other metaverse-like things, even though over a decade ago there was, another metaverse called Simple Life. Oh man, is that right? Is it Simple Life? Yeah, sorry. Brain's not there this late. But anyways, the idea was, I just wanted to comment on, was about, again, seeing large companies come in. But again, I think that's one of those chicken egg thing. Large companies, in my opinion, are motivated by sales and audiences. I mean, that's why only big companies have the money to put Super Bowl commercial together, because it's got one of the highest viewership ratings there is. So if there's a lot of people in a Star Atlas metaverse, yeah, maybe big companies will come in. But how do you get people? Well, you got to have something other than the big companies there. So again, not arguing that the idea is not part of a metaverse, but again, it's always, I think that's interesting, one of a chicken egg scenario. Which ones come first? We don't know. Late in the documentary that Beyond the Horizon did, he had a video of a futurist that was talking, which I think he said was pinned on Michael Wagner, the Twitter X feed. And I admit I was listening to X, and it was near the end of the video, and I didn't listen that closely, and I should probably go back. But I don't know. It just was kind of out there, like Star Atlas is going to be we're going to explore planets, and I'm like, but that's not real. That's space exploration. Anyways, it was just a little bit out there. Not that it wasn't fine to be inspirational, but I just wasn't. Anyways, and I have to admit, the futurist in the video might have said this 2 years ago, and we now know kind of where we are now. I mean, crypto isn't what it was 2 years ago. NFTs aren't what they were 2 years ago. I mean, all things mature, all technology matures. But again, not being too critical of anything, it was just more like, yes, but I guess, and again, I think I've been pretty consistent on this in my podcast. I just want Star Atlas to be a cool sci-fi space game. I really just want to play a game. But again, I'm really intrigued by the fact that, has the aspects of blockchain. It has the possibility of a metaverse, definitely the idea of immersion through VR, a real world colony. I mean, there are so many very interesting things here. But, and maybe this is just my 2 cents, that a really cool sci-fi game will get people involved. And if the people are there, maybe the large companies will show up, and then that'll grow and more people come in. And I think it's called the network effect, and it was applied originally to Facebook, where it was just in college campuses, and it was the Facebook. If anybody knows the history, there was this thing called the Facebook that had everybody's faces in it, wherever Mark Zuckerberg went to school. I think it was Harvard. But anyways, and so he just replicated that in technology, and then it spread, and then because all your friends were on it, and then it opened up to just college students, and then it opened to the public. And again, the network effect was your friends are all there, so you all go there. And 2 billion people later, Facebook is what it is. Right or wrong, like it or not, you got to give them credit for 2 billion people on their system. So, can Star Atlas get 2 billion people? I don't know. Nobody at the time would have said Facebook made any sense, but, here we are today. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways. But anyways, getting back to the original point, awesome documentary, great thought-provoking, tons of great production value. I want to give, again, Beyond the Horizon a lot of kudos for putting it together. Of course, I like this kind of content that makes you think. So again, check out the news recap number 93 on my website, Intergalactic Herald, if you want to get a link to that, or of course, search for Beyond the Horizon on YouTube. So late last week, Friday, right before Christmas weekend, 3-day weekend, Star Atlas did release Showroom 2.1.9. Again, I will give them credit for hitting most of their marks of getting stuff out. I think I was downloading it that night, and I just, with Christmas, I just didn't have time to play, and I haven't even fired it up yet. So, but again, give them credit where credit's due. They released it. Again, I don't know if it's good. I think a couple people, I'm trying to remember exactly. I think Beyond Horizon had kind of a first look. Metaverse Explorer had some video. Again, I think with the holidays, a lot of people are taking a break and being with family and not creating Star Atlas content. Not a problem. No, nothing there. So anyway, so that did come out. So that's cool. Lots of things were in there. I think I saw a post on Twitter this past week that Dominic, one of the community managers, was doing some live streaming. I guess there's a shooter level with bots that somehow has some sort of scoring. Not 100% sure. So anyway, so he was getting it to work. So, and I know a lot of the content creators have been waiting for this day where they can do much more like live stream Twitch content of just playing the game and things like that. So again, maybe we're getting closer. So we'll see if I have time. Again, I got my video card for Christmas just to play that. Again, just too many things going on. And then the last topic, and again, just real brief, because it's really kind of just being out there. So there's a coin called Puri, which is based off the new Star Atlas pet. Definitely has taken a life on its own. So one of the community members created the coin, and it's really just happening. It's one of these, I guess we'll call this a viral event. Yeah. So it's just kind of taking on a life of its own. The original goal was to reward some of the content creators and developers. So obviously that's where I kind of first became aware of it. It was posted in the Star Atlas Discord and asked anybody to submit their wallets so that they could get some of these coins. So again, I'm not a total understanding all the things that happen in cryptocurrency, but I think it's safe to call it a meme coin. At least that's what I'm telling my wife it's called, but I'm not even sure what it is yet because it's being developed and they're there. So it's very early. They do have a Discord. So if you're interested in learning more or just finding out, do check that out. Actually, I didn't put this in the news recap because I don't know. I'm trying to curate Star Atlas content, and this is way too early in my typical when I put content in my news article. Because again, I'm hoping that the people who read it, I mean, it's a source they can go to. They get a summary. Again, a little bit of the stuff, maybe not filters in. Again, I'm not trying to be breaking news or journalistic editorial news. I'm just, hey, here's some stuff we want to keep updated. So this is sort of on the peripheral. But again, I partly bring it up because I'm helping them out a little bit with a website. So I, just FYI. So if you want to join their Discord, you can go to puricoin.com, and there is a link there to the Discord. So we'll see if this reaches the threshold of a part of Star Atlas. But nevertheless, it's no different than any of the other people. It's developing, data reports or content or other related projects. So it's definitely within the kind of broader community one. So anyways, but again, really early, it's just very early. So anyway, so that wraps it up. So still a bunch of things to talk about, but not a ton. Again, physically or in real time, it's practically the new year. Team's going to be out for another week. There's one piece of content I did not get a chance to listen to yet because I think it's almost 2 hours, but it was not Breakpoint, Checkpoint? Sorry, I haven't listened to it, so I don't remember. Anyways, it was a roundtable discussion, which of course I'm all on board, with a few of the content creators of kind of reviewing the year in past. So I want to listen to that in the next week. So I think I'll probably still have a podcast next week, but again, unless there's some other content that comes out in the upcoming week, which again, with the Star Wars team on break, I don't think they'll be doing stuff. So try to have a podcast next week. Might be very brief, not very brief, but maybe just single topic, but hopefully some of their discussions about the year in review. I think, again, that would be a great thing to have some comment on. So anyways, that's it. So again, podcast guests, so just wrapping it up again, definitely looking for any guests on there. I'm actually trying to get some lined up for January. Got some work to do to get some interview questions and then start doing some outreach. So hopefully you have someone else to listen to than just me. Again, I want to promote my own weekly Star Atlas News recap email newsletter. Please go to intergalacticherald.com for that. Sign up. You should find it. Parts have a pop-up. And then just again, 2 of my own projects. One is Intergalactic Gear, which is my Star Atlas merch store. Did actually make some progress this past week in setting up some of the behind the scenes things like getting all my business licenses and bank accounts, business structure, kind of all that stuff set up. Got my e-commerce store started and even got the print on demand, the first one I want to go with, barely started, but at least moving forward. So actually made some progress, but more than anything, just found out again how much more there's still to do. But hopefully my goal of launching a single product just to get the entire e-commerce supply chain from product, taxes, shipping, payment, all that stuff done. I guess that is my goal, is just to sell a single, or to put up for sale a single mug, coffee mug. But anyways, we'll just see where it's going. And then the last one is, again, the Intergalactic Coalition, which is my future paid non-guild guild for Star Atlas gamers who just want to hang out. Again, please go to Intergalactic Coalition if that sounds like something you might be interested in. As soon as I get enough interest signed up, and I should say, if you sign up, please send your email. If you don't give me your email, I can't contact you, so you're not can't. Anyways, we'll do that. So wrapping it up, again, since my podcasts are always kind of a week after the time, if you get this on Sunday night, depending on when you hear it, it'll be 2024. So wishing everyone Happy New Year. If you listen to this later, you're in the future. But anyway, so again, thanks. What are we on? Number 44. So almost a year's worth of these. So anyways, Happy New Year to yours and yours. Again, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald.